Welcome to the revolution. Hello and welcome to Red Pill Revolution. My name is Austin Adams, and thank you so much for listening today. This is episode number 36 of the Red Pill Revolution podcast. And we've had a very, very interesting last few days and some crazy outbreaks of new information, including what is going to end up being a deep dive today. So we're going to have a few topics before it, but the main topic of today's discussion is going to be Hunter Biden's iPhone iCloud leak. So we will get into that in detail. I don't know how long this is going to go, but I got myself a nice bottle of Basil Hayden here that is absolutely just water in the bottle. It's not actually whiskey, so I'll go ahead and pour myself some of that water now because this is going to be a fun episode to deep dive into Hunter Biden's iCloud leak. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk about today is Joe Biden. Speaking of the Biden family, Joe Biden today saying that he has cancer in what seemed to be another dementia-ridden speech. So the White House seemingly backtracking. We will discuss that as well. We're also going to touch on Merriam-Webster changing the definition of a woman. In true 1984 fashion, they are now going back and changing the definition of our words, and it is no surprise. The other thing we're going to talk about is AOC faking her own arrest. I guess she actually did get arrested, apparently, during a protest about Roe v. Wade, but we'll discuss that more and actually watch the clip together. We're also going to discuss quickly and briefly an article that I just found to be the most ridiculous title you've ever heard, which is Humanity Faces a Collective Suicide Over the Climate Crisis, warns the UN chief. So this isn't just some random news article written by Joe Schmo in his basement. This is the UN chief saying that there is a collective suicide over the climate crisis. And then on top of actually taking a deep dive into the iCloud leak from Hunter Biden, we're actually going to discuss the possible federal prostitution charges that he may be facing after this leak. So all of that and more today. I'm very excited to talk it through with you guys. So without further ado, episode number 36 of the Red Pill Revolution podcast. Welcome to Red Pill Revolution. My name is Austin Adams. Red Pill Revolution started out with me realizing everything that I knew, everything that I believed, everything I interpret about my life is through the lens of the information I was spoon-fed as a child. Religion, politics, history, conspiracies, Hollywood, medicine, money, food, all of it. Everything we know was tactfully written to influence your decisions and your view on reality by those in power. Now, I'm on a mission to retrain and re-educate myself, to find the true reality of what is behind that curtain, and I'm taking your ass with me. Welcome to the revolution. All right, episode number 36 of the Red Pill Revolution podcast, and the very first article and discussion we're going to have today is in true 1984 fashion, Merriam-Webster changes the definition of female, and they do it in a very obscure way. I find it to be very interesting here, so we'll read the article first, then we'll actually look at what Merriam-Webster has to say about what a female is today, and then we will discuss it. So it says Merriam-Webster's online dictionary has caved to the trans agenda. In order to appease woke activists, the dictionary publisher has added a secondary definition of female that defines the term as having a gender identity that is the opposite of male. The key term here is gender identity, which demonstrates that Merriam-Webster maintains that gender is not directly connected to sex. A female is a woman. Trans-identifying males are not female. This is an article from National Review, so I don't know where their bias lies, but it seems pretty prevalent that they're not for this. It goes on to say that this is not only a part of the definition that has changed the online edition of Merriam-Webster. Notice the preliminary definition of female was originally of relating to or of being the sex that typically has the capacity to bear young or produce eggs. That seems, quite direct and unobscure to me seems to make sense, right? If you can have eggs, allegedly, you are a female. But according to Merriam-Webster, that is not the case anymore. All you have to do is have a feeling in your gut. The eggs that you have no longer matter. Your actual ability to, make children and birth children. You've heard all these terms now. It's like birthing capacity last week. Before that was pregnancy capable. Like all these ridiculous terms that you've heard lately. So what I find to be the most interesting, without diving too far into some random article from the National Review, is going to be the fact that they changed it from originally what it was. Now, the original definition was, let's see here if I can pull it up for us. Now, there was a few different definitions that they changed. The first one being girl. Okay, they changed the definition of what a girl is from a female child from birth to adulthood to a person whose gender identity is female. So that's where this started, and I think that's where it's important to note, is that the very first definition that they changed, when you look at the, how the actual, how the steps went here, the very first thing that they changed is, what is a girl? Well, a girl is a person whose gender identity is female. Okay, now if we're talking about what the actual definition and what words mean here, now we have to go look at the next step, which is, what do they define as female? Okay, and that's what we'll look at here. So they originally had female definition was of relating to or being the sex that typically has the capacity to bear young or produce eggs. Okay, makes sense. Now, what they changed that to was person who, let's see, what they changed that to was somebody who identifies as being female or the opposite of a male. Okay, so now we're playing ring around the rosy with definitions. So we first started with, what is a girl? Well, a girl is somebody who identifies as a female. Okay, what is a female? Well, a female is the opposite of a male. Okay, what is a male? Well, a male is the person who identifies as the opposite of female. So now there literally is no definition for what actually a male or a female is. It's just a sound that we say with our mouths that has no meaning. Okay. It seems to be, like I said, if you've read the book 1984, you know what I'm talking about. What they do is they change the literal definitions of words to change the way that society interacts in their language and change the way that people literally think. Right? You think of, doublethink and the ministry of truth and all of these things. And one of the very first things that they did is they started to change the definition of words. And now we're actually seeing this happen here in reality. So Merriam-Webster has now made the definition of a female the opposite of a male and the definition of a male the opposite of a female, but nowhere clearly at all identifies what either of those terms mean. So they've essentially stripped humanity of the ability to, identify with their own sexual organs. Like, we've talked about this before. To me, it just, you can be whatever you want. Call yourself whatever you want, wear whatever clothes you want, have whatever job you want, do whatever you want to do. You can have whatever reality you want to create in your own head and, surround yourself with people who believe the same things, but you don't get to push those ideologies onto other people, right? You don't get to, like go back a few years and you remember the video of like the game, what was it? What was it? There was the story where it was like the I'm a ma'am. Like you remember how that whole situation went where this woman who I guess identified as a woman screamed at the guy behind this counter because he called him sir, which she very clearly looked like a sir. Generally, according to societal standards and biology, appeared to be, in every category, a man. So, kind of just pushing your ideology onto other people. And that's what we're seeing here with Merriam-Webster is they've literally taken away and stripped everybody of their femininity and masculinity. And I think that's like kind of the end goal here is like, if you can take away the, feminine power, like if you understand that, I've had this conversation, before. It's like, if you think of women in a literal sense and you think of like what actual superpowers they have between being able to 3D organically print a human and multiply in the world. And not only that, but the fact that a woman is, they have their own cycle, right? It's kind of a weird conversation to have, but you think about it this way. The moon has cycles, the earth has cycles, and so do women. They're literally attached to the world in a way that men are not. If you put a man in a closed room with 4 walls and no windows, he will not be able to tell when the months go by. A woman will be able to. Her body does not need sunlight to know when the month changes. It's quite crazy. So sorry, Merriam-Webster. You don't get to change what a woman is. A woman is still and has always been and will continue to be somebody with the capacity to produce eggs and bear children. Sorry, that's just the way it goes. All right. Now, the next topic that we're going to discuss here is going to be AOC fakes being handcuffed after an arrest at an abortion rights protest. And we'll actually watch the video here because I find it quite comical. Now, AOC has had a tendency of doing this, between faking the fact that she was like literally about to be murdered on January 6th, hiding under a desk when she was, there was all this talk about, she was actually had people around her who, wanted to do her harm. And then little did we find out that there was no harm even close to her, but she said she was about to be like murdered on January 6th. She seems to like to incite these things. And then if you go back a little bit even further than that, she took pictures in front of an ICE facility, and now she's pretending to get arrested. You can actually do, you can get handcuffed, do something to deserve being handcuffed, and they will handcuff you. You don't have to go to these lengths to pretend. So we'll actually watch the video here, but before we do that, we'll go ahead and read through this article, which says that AOC was roundly mocked on social media Tuesday after she put her arms around her behind her back to imitate being handcuffed following her arrest at a pro-abortion demonstration outside the Supreme Court. The Bronx and Queens Democratic lawmaker was gently escorted away by a Capitol police officer along with fellow city representative Caroline Maloney after blocking traffic outside the court building. AOC kept up the charade of being restrained for a few steps before raising her fist to supporters watching from the sidewalk. Now, she's literally just doing this so the 3-4 photographers that she sees up in her grill get the shot that they're looking for, and she gets to post it on her social media, right? I've talked about this before. It's literally clickbait politics, right? That's all they're trying to do is get likes on social media and try to be famous. Try to be famous on Instagram and famous on TikTok by these videos of them pretending to get arrested with her arms behind your back. AOC, if you want to get arrested, get arrested. It's not that hard, right? And, apparently they did actually get arrested, but never were actually, in jail or anything like that, of course, right? So let's go ahead and watch the video. I find it to be quite comical, and I think that you will too. So she has her arms behind her back until the photographers get their shot. And then 2 steps after that, she raises her fist like she's Martin Luther King for pretending to get arrested at a pro-abortion rally. You can get arrested. It's really not that difficult, right? You can actually be put in handcuffs if you want to be about it, right? So AOC, as always, you are a clown. And maybe if you actually did your job instead of just looking to get likes on social media, people would like you more. But I don't see that happening in the near future. All right. Now, the very next article, which I'm just going to touch on for a second here, I really don't see it being worth our time to sit and harp on this, but I just found this title to be very interesting to me. Now, the UN chief warns that humanity faces a collective suicide over climate crisis. Now, we've been seeing this conversation ramp up this week like crazy. I've never seen so many articles being shoved down my throat as I've seen this last week over the climate crisis. Right now, before it was climate change, and then it was global warming, and then it was, what was it with Al Gore? Something about, the next ice age is coming. And now all of a sudden it's a collective suicide. I think that's probably a little disingenuous to say the least. And if nothing else, it's probably a little, it's probably a little bit more than disingenuous to the actual word suicide, because you know what you're doing there, right? There's actually people who commit suicide. Now, I'm not going to be soft enough to believe that he actually meant that way. But just to point out the fact that maybe we shouldn't use the word suicide unless it's actually applicable. And in this case, it's obviously not, right? We saw the heat waves in Spain and Europe, temperatures above 100 degrees, right? It was 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit in Europe. Today, or yesterday, and they were freaking out about it, saying how all these young, healthy people are going to die. And in reality, Arizona's 112 degrees the same day and nobody's dying. Afghanistan's like 175 degrees in the middle of the night and nobody's dying just because of the heat, especially healthy individuals, right? And I saw some people saying like, oh, well, but we have air conditioning here and their houses are meant to keep heat in. Okay. Air conditioning was invented in 1851. We have been here as a species, Homo sapiens, for 200,000 plus years and probably a lot more than that. And we did it without air conditioning. They literally built the fucking pyramids without air conditioning. And yet you're going to say that these random healthy CrossFitter Europeans are just going to die because it's 100 degrees out? Like, I think you'll be all right. All right, so I do just think it's interesting. And this comes on the back of Biden saying that he's going to issue a climate emergency or something like that, which basically is, just a deeper way of saying he's going to launder more money to his buddies who put him in office and, kind of control everything that he's doing anyways. So, we'll see what happens. Now, if he does do that, I wonder what gas is going to be, One can only imagine. Now, speaking of Joe Biden today says that he has cancer thanks to the oil industry. Now, the White House goes on to say that it was skin cancer years ago, but that is not what Biden said. So let's go ahead and watch the clip. Then we will read this article and then we will discuss it. Here we go.
Drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer, and why I can't for the longest time.
So he says something about an oil slick and you had to use your windshield wipers to get rid of the oil. And that's why that's not why I did. That's not why I had. That's why I and so many others have cancer. That's what your president of the United States just said today. Now, I can't imagine what the actual administrative office of our government is thinking right now, watching the most powerful man in the world say that he, in a dementia-ridden, speech like everyone that he ever gives, And again, this is like, it's hard to have sympathy for the man when he's literally shoveling our country's grave as we speak by peddling every single tax dollar that you've ever given in your entire life to Ukraine, just so that he can, make the money back to Burisma through Hunter Biden, which we're going to find a little bit about more here when we go through all these text messages and iCloud situation. But let's read through this article. It says that President Biden said Wednesday that he has cancer, forced the White House to have a press conference to quickly clarify, you mean lie on his behalf, because he said something that you didn't want him to say, that he was referring to skin cancer treatment that he had before taking office last year. The remark initially appeared to be a stunningly casual health announcement during a speech about global warming. And this is like, when you think of the president of the United States, they literally don't flush his shit on Air Force One because they're afraid of people like finding his poop and like figuring out the medical situation that he's in, right? So then he literally goes on to TV. I don't know what this is. If you're looking, I did like a robot. He goes on to TV and just casually announces that he has cancer, talking about the climate crisis, right? It goes on to say, that's why I and so damn many other people I grew up with have cancer, and why for the longest time Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation. Well, I'd like to see that compared to your soldiers, because the actual amount of United States military members and veterans that have cancer as a result of burn pits, Agent Orange, asbestos, PFOAs on Air Force bases that are the result of like leaking fluids at, if you don't know this, it's like there's a documentary called The Devil You Know, I think is the name of it. And it's a whole documentary about 3M. And it talks about the basically when, we had a situation happen at my Air Force base when I was there, where if there's a jet fuel fire, like if one of our aircraft lit on fire in a hangar, they had this foam that would basically cover up the entirety of the hangar in like 30 seconds. And it would stop the fire from happening. But what they didn't tell you is that when it did that, it also leaked into all your water supplies and caused high levels of cancer rates in all of our veterans on U.S. Air Force bases. And if there's a tracking website that you can go to where you can actually look and see the maps, like a heat map of where there's high levels of PFOAs in the water, and literally every single red mark on the map is an actual Air Force base. It's unbelievable. So it's going to be really, quite terrifying to see down the road how many people in the Air Force actually end up with cancer. Terrifying. Anyways, side note, you should look at the documentary because it's crazy. It goes on to say it's unclear why Biden chose to use the present verb tense to describe his experience with cancer. Well, you can't even say that he's an idiot and can't speak a full sentence or has dementia, or, you have to say it's unclear. Like, no, there's either one of two options. Either he has cancer and you don't want to talk about it, or B, he has dementia. That's A and B. There's no C here. That's the only options here, but you decided to say it's unclear. Yeah, okay. Greg Prince of X Strategies LLC tweeted, he said, "I have cancer in the present tense. You absolute dipshits." I love how they quoted him there. Like it was just a beautifully articulated tweet about our president. Anarchist author Michael Malice meanwhile joked, "Don't worry about Joe Biden having cancer. He is married to a doctor." Oh, the Dr. Jill Biden thing just kills me. It refers to the fact that First Lady Joe Biden uses the honorific doctor to note her 2007 doctorate in education. It goes on to say that skin cancer is extremely common, especially among older adults who didn't wear sunscreen in their youth, and generally isn't life-threatening. Okay, who cares? All right, moving on to the thing that we all want to discuss here. Is Hunter Biden facing possible federal prosecution for prostitution charges after new documents are released? Now, we'll go ahead and watch this video. The video that we're watching is coming from ABC 3340. I don't know if that's an actual... Yeah, it looks like it's an actual ABC News. Good on them for actually posting this. So let's go ahead and watch this video where it discusses the actual prosecution charge or the prostitution charges. And then we will discuss it a little bit. And then we are going to do a deep dive into everything about this iCloud leak. Every single article, every single topic, all the disgusting pictures, which we won't show because they're terrifyingly gross, and so is Hunter Biden. All of the drug use, all of the shady business deals that Hunter Biden was involved in. But first, let's go ahead and watch this video, and then we'll discuss it. But before we do that, the first thing I need you to do is go ahead and hit that subscribe button, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, whether you're on Spotify, whether you are on Google Podcasts. I don't know who listens to Google Podcasts, but if you do, shout out to you. Wherever the hell you get your podcasts, Audible, I don't know. But go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave a 5-star review. It would appreciate it so much. It means the world to me. If you want some good karma in your day and you don't know how to get it, you can get it right now. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button. All you got to do is hit that 5-star review button. Tell me something you love about the podcast. I would appreciate it so much. All right. The next thing you need to do is go over to redpillrevolution.substack.com. And every single week I am back at it, son. I am putting out Substacks every single week with a podcast companion, all of the articles, all of the videos, all of the topics, and a little transcription / article that I'll write up about one of my favorite topics of the week. So you can go ahead and get that for free right now. redpillrevolution.substack.com, or head over to redpillrevolution.co. .com is for losers, all right? redpillrevolution.co, and you can actually sign up for the Substack right directly there. Get the podcast, the video podcast, all of my topics broken down into YouTube videos. Like I said, all of it for free. Go to redpillrevolution.co, and while you are at it, go ahead and hit that get a quote button. Find yourself some life insurance. It's the only way you can support this podcast right now, and I would appreciate it so much. All right? Now, that's it. That's all I got. All right, here is the Hunter Biden video about him facing federal prostitution charges after a new document is released. And here we go.
The Secret Service now saying they are aware of a potential hack into Hunter Biden's iCloud account, some alleged content already posted online. The hack still unconfirmed. Suspicions now arising that Google was censoring search engine results as Hunter Biden-related news broke Monday. Multiple users posting photos on Twitter of fruitless searches. The Daily Mail reporting Hunter Biden may face federal prostitution charges for bringing 3 escorts from Boston to New York for a fun night. That may actually classify as a not-so-fun federal offense, transporting prostitutes across state lines. Hunter's escorts often have ties to Russia. Timelines show he would pay for these services after receiving large money wires from his dad. No evidence shows Biden knew how Hunter spent that money. Another controversy emerging involving the president, his son, and the sale of nearly 1 million barrels from the American Strategic Petroleum Reserve to China.
Literally giving away our emergency supply, and we're not seeing the gain from that.
A private equity firm previously tied to Hunter Biden has a $1.7 billion stake in the Chinese state-owned company Biden sold oil to.
It is another example of how bad things really smell with all the issues around Hunter Biden.
How Hunter Biden got high-up positions in these companies still unclear. Critics arguing his connections had more value than his talent.
I think the American people deserve the truth on this because Joe Biden is certainly compromised.
DOJ still assessing if they...
All right, so that sounds like they're going a little bit more in detail than I want. But basically, what this says is that the Secret Service confirmed Monday that they are aware of a potential hack. A potential hack. Yeah, absolutely is his hack. You can tell by his grimy little hands all over a crack pipe, and stroking the hair of a, I don't know, didn't see that, but allegedly underage Asian women or children. So it says Secret Service confirmed Monday that they are aware of a hack into the president's son's iCloud account. Some alleged content has already been posted online through the site 4chan. Suspicions are now arising that Google was censoring search engine results as Hunter Biden-related news broke Monday. Multiple users posted photos on Twitter of fruitless searches. Yeah, right. Fruitless. There's a whole Reddit feed I found very easily that shows all of this very, very in depth. So, and again, I'll share that on the Substack. So if you're listening to this right now or you're on the live on TikTok, go head over redpillrevolution.substack.com. All right. Now, it goes on to say that Hunter Biden may face federal prostitution charges for bringing 3 escorts from Boston to New York for a fun night that may actually classify as a federal offense. Transporting prostitutes. You mean sex trafficking? That's what that is. That's not transporting prostitutes is sex trafficking, not whatever the hell they just called it. Transporting prostitutes, sex trafficking across state lines. Hunter's escorts often have ties to Russia, reports indicate. Timelines show he would pay for these services after receiving large money wires from his dad. No evidence shows President Joe Biden knew about how Hunter spent that money. No evidence, really, because he literally sent him it was like $5,000 while he's sitting there talking with a prostitute on a video or something. I don't know. Wild. So we'll go into that in just a minute. We'll finish reading this article, though. It says another controversy emerged involving the president, his son, and the sale of nearly 1 million barrels from the American Strategic Oil Reserve to China. And that's another part of this. So there's really 3 main parts of this Hunter Biden iCloud leak, which is, in addition to the Mac release, his laptop release that was during the presidential election. And this is 456 gigabytes, a ton of data. Now there's a website I'll give you guys where you can search through every single one of his emails that were on there, including all of the Burisma emails, the Rosemont Seneca emails, which was his company that he was a part of, that was an investment and consultant foundation company that, basically just peddled his dad's influence for money. So we'll talk about all of that in just a second here. But now we'll move over to basically what is a really good breakdown of this. Now, this is through Reddit. And then the title of this article was posted 6 days ago by Walter O'Shea. And the title of this is The Hunter Biden Saga Continues. Now, he goes on to post some basic screenshots and talks about how they're kind of trying to, push a lot of this conversation away from the business dealings and more towards his like crack and prostitution usage, which eventually is tripping him up anyways with these prostitution charges. But this individual says, I have followed the Hunter Biden saga for years. Allow me to sum up and address some of the disinformation. I just hate the word disinformation. I think it's so stupid. We don't just get like, when was the first time you heard that word, right? Like how many times have you heard the word disinformation 5 years ago? I don't know. Just rubs me the wrong way. Allow me to sum up and address some of the disinformation that is a part of the modified limited hangout being run. Okay, that's obscure. First, there are 3 pictures that have been making the rounds that are intentional. The first one is Natalie Biden with cocaine on her nose. It's not Natalie. Sure, it's a striking resemblance, but is verified as being a cam girl. This is being used by others to say that the data is fake, but really their argument is what's fake. Anyone with the data knows this picture isn't real. Joe Biden with an Asian girl. This is actually a BDSM video from X videos that has been around for years. Now, I've seen this circulate. I had some people send me this, and I didn't even open the video because I was afraid that it was real, and I don't know, didn't want to get caught in that crossfire of whoever's gonna be seeing exactly who's opening this. But there was a video that looked quite a bit like Joe Biden, where has this woman kind of I don't know, a little too crazy, but he was basically I don't know. It looked like a younger Asian girl, and he was some way assaulting her with some type of object. I don't know, not sexually, but kind of weird. Anyways, he's saying that was fake. And then the next one he says is Hunter Biden with 5 young girls. This is not Hunter Biden. This Hunter Biden was never sported a black soul patch. That's probably the only thing that would make Hunter Biden look crazier is if he did have a black soul patch. Now it goes on to say that is Hunter Biden a pedophile? Yes. He searches for underage pornography, as it states here, and that was shown in his search results during this iCloud leak. There was something that he searched 12-year-old girls in some type of websites that he was looking for that. It says that he is constantly accused of being a child molester. He sleeps with Natalie Biden. Natalie Biden is he sleeps with young cousin Lily, and he's engaged in grooming behavior and is likely providing drugs to underage family members. Now, this person comes with the receipts. Every single thing that they're talking about, he kind of, or somebody kind of links a bunch of different things showing his search results, right? So he was looking on X videos for 12 years old. Shows some of his searches that he was looking for. And then the other thing that it goes on to show that, and I'll post all of these, not obviously all of the data, but I'll post the actual post itself for you guys so you can see it through the Substack. But it also goes on to show these screenshots. Now, if you don't know, I believe Natalie is his younger niece. Natalie is his younger niece who is underage, that is the daughter of his late brother Beau Biden's wife, his niece, and he's being super creepy. And it goes on to show you some even worse things about their conversations, including them meeting up in a Trader Joe's bathroom. You think that Joe Biden would have a classier place, but pretty wild stuff. Now, I have a thing here where I would love to just contact every single Trader Joe's within 25 miles of where they live and because there's literal timestamps. This was on, the actual conversations that they're having here was October 8th of 2018, so 4 years ago. And I'll read the conversations for you. And this is coming from his underage niece. It says, I love you more than anything in the world. Are you coming home to sleep with me? Underage niece. Natalie, you are wonderful, he says. Aunt Daria and maybe Uncle David will be there tonight. I know the David thing was just a joke, but Aunt Daria is not, so I'll see you tomorrow, I guess. Call me in a few minutes, please. She says, I love you. Come home, please. Where are you? Come home. Can you call me, please? Daria just left. So you are the person watching us? What does that mean? You are the person watching us. That's creepy. I love you so much, Uncle. I fully understand why you are mad at me. You are the adult. Said, I'll never be over in a bit, or I'll be over in a bit. I love you, Natalie. Can we please just have a little faith and compassion in and for each other right now? And you're right. I am the adult, and I need to take responsibility for myself and for my connection with you. No more playing the cop or the guardian angel. No more playing the role you think your daddy played. I failed you in that way. I can only take responsibility for myself. That is like, even if you're not being creepy, that's a creepy, weird conversation for you to be having with your niece. Super weird and creepy. And then there shows another screenshot of him saying, in a conversation with somebody, like it seems like a prostitute or a, what do they call the woman, the madam, saying that your child bride is having a tough year. So that was another conversation that was had. Even shows him like writing a rap. Hunter Biden wrote a rap. All right. You want to hear Hunter Biden's rap? It's called Lolly Girl. Lolly Girl. Okay. Which is telling because it talks about toes. And a lot of Hunter Biden's videos and stuff that was pushed out showed him having some sort of weird feet fetish. I don't know. Lolly, here's his rap. Okay. Lolly, lolly, there's explicit words here. So if they hurt your ears, close them. Lolly, lolly, your bitch is on her knees, sucking my toes, she a thotty. Popped a lot of molly. Lolly, lolly, that thotty has a body. She is very naughty, sucking on my lolly, doing lots of molly. You are such a thotty. Wow. This 50-year-old man is writing raps about somebody sucking his toes. I don't know how, if you're Hunter Biden, you haven't like moved to a faraway country to escape the embarrassment of your own actions. This goes on to say that there does appear to be nudes of Natalie, which again is his niece, underage niece. But his criminality doesn't stop there. I get that people want the salacious stuff first, but keep in mind, Hunter Biden participates in policy decisions at the president of the United States. So that's the important part. Is like there's a lot of deflection here, like showing him smoking crack, right? And then Joe Biden's going to turn that into a positive, right? Like, oh, everybody smokes crack, even though there's a video that surfaced recently of him saying that, even if there's a like fingernail size amount of crack, that you should go away to jail for a really long time. But it goes on to say, it goes on to show like a lot of his emails and stuff, and even some voicemails, it appears. So let's see if we can even hear this voicemail and see what it has to say here. Now, again, this is going to be a slower episode than normal. We're going to take a deep dive into this. So we're going to kind of jump around here and have some slower conversations than usual than just, one-off topics here. So let's see if we can actually hear this.
Hey, Hunter's dad. I'm in D.C. Mom's teaching. I left. I have to go visit, have a meeting I told you about with Hillary. I'll be gone. I'm in the car now, heading there. Probably won't be back till, what am I mean, 4:30, my guess. But I left the door and the gate open to the house if you're in D.C. I love you. Let me know where you are when you get a chance.
Okay, so that very much sounds like Joe Biden. It just appears to be a voicemail. Goes on to show... just showing that... So basically what that portion of it is just showing is that he's engaged in these policy decisions and that he's flying all around and getting voicemails from his dad about, the meetings that his dad is going to and other things. Now, it also shows an individual that's been a huge part of this, and including Rosemont Seneca, a ton of the emails that were released, a ton of these shady business deals that were done. It was actually the individual who helped him set up Rosemont Seneca so he could peddle his dad's influence. There's an email here that says, your dad's Delaware tax refund check came today. I am depositing it into his account and writing a check in that amount back to you since he owes it to you. Don't think I need to run it by him, but if you want to, go ahead. I'm going to give you money, and if you want to ask him if it's okay, you can do that, but I don't think you need to. If not, I will deposit it tomorrow. Now, again, that's Eric Schwerin, who is a kind of a shady character within the Biden family who was taking care of their finances for a while, also helped run and helped peddle his dad's influence to all these companies through the shell company Rosemont Seneca, which we will talk about more in a little bit. This goes on to say that Hunter Biden engages in a lot of illegal behavior, which makes him blackmailable. This is a huge national security concern. His payments to Ukrainian-based escort service UBERGFE triggered a bank red flag, as over $200,000 that Hunter Biden paid to a single prostitution company in Ukraine. This also comes with receipts showing the actual suspicious activity information from JP Morgan Bank. So there's the actual email from them talking about the payments that he was making to this prostitution company in Ukraine. Now, don't see the reason to read through that for you, but if you want to find it, go ahead and find that Reddit article and you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. Let's see. It says Hunter writes checks to his escorts to cross state lines via plane and train. Now, this is what tripped him up, I believe, from the sounds of it. So it says Hunter Biden participates in human trafficking, and it shows the actual checks that he's writing, as well as the plane and train tickets for the individuals that he was sending. So there's literal receipts of him buying train tickets for prostitutes. In other words, sex trafficking. All right. And it goes on to show basically all 4 of the receipts there. It says in one instance, Hunter Biden buys a GPS tracker and has a woman place it in another woman's car, literally stalking. And it shows the conversation in the text messages. Now, this is what's crazy is, again, there's 456 gigabytes of data on this release. So it's like so difficult to even go through it all. But I'll read you a little bit of the conversation. It says, let's see here. It says that I want to get my phone under her seat. No, do it tonight. And this is Hunter saying this. No, do it tonight if you can with old phone and get a backup power thing there for it. Get a backup battery. So he was taking a cell phone, having a different woman put it under the seat in a car of another woman's car so he could stalk and track somebody. Crazy. Then he goes on to like literally go after this woman to make sure that she did it. She said, I charged the phone and battery pack. Leaving now, I also ordered that GPS to the device. We'll call you in 5 minutes. This is obviously a foreign individual with the way that they're texting. He said, dude, you're killing me. She said, sorry, gotta work. No other way to get money. He says, hey, just text me some info that you're getting, babe. I may come in tonight. She said, huh? What info? He said in all caps, didn't you put phone in car? She said, yes, I didn't understand your text. Sorry, ready to send it. He said, that's because you don't love me anymore. Like literally like a 15-year-old in a weird early stage relationship. She said, yes, I do. I'm just going through a lot. He said, kidding. If you can get me skinny spinner chick that likes what I like, let's hang out at RRN. What's wrong? How do I help, sweets? What a fucking creep. All right. Next thing it goes on to talk about is going to be the Troy Hunt database, which has all of your email and password combinations, while Hunter Biden's credentials are in them, along with the rest of the Biden family. Now, this is the Troy Hunt database is basically a large database of email and password compilations from a huge leak that was done free, or a huge leak that you can find, where this is, I'm pretty sure, where they actually cracked his password from. This is like 4chan in this, like whatever weird, whatever 4chan is. It's like a Reddit just without rules. Basically just went on a big effort to try and see if they could break his iCloud, and they found it through these leaks here. Now it says that this data is the source of many leaks, including the WHO and Wuhan Institute of Virology. It says in early 2019, Hunter Biden's Rosemont Seneca email password, along with Rosemont Seneca passwords, were leaked. Even prior to that, the corruption surrounding Hunter Biden and Rosemont Seneca was already widely reported on. And it shows some articles, including a New York Post article titled Inside the Shady Private Equity Firm Run by Kerry and Biden's Kids. And that was in 2018. Another one was by the ABQ Journal, which was there's a Hunter Biden Santa Fe connection through the old Rosemont Seneca Rosemont Realty, now controlled by a Chinese firm. It shows some emails from that. It says a Freedom of Information request provides the allegations in the aforementioned news articles were true. Rosemont Seneca Bohé bank records listing. So it shows the actual bank records. And it says prior to the leaks, we were already looking at a 100% certainty of corruption with a web of cutouts. Rosemont Seneca, Bohé Harvest, Burisma, Robinson Walker LLC, Transatlantic Energy Group. Can't pronounce this Chinese name. Sinopec, Sinahawk, Thornton Group LLC, Seneca Global Advisors, Hudson West, the third, Boys Schiller Lionheart Group. And it goes to show receipts for each one of those. And it's talking about all the different incomes that he's making through each of these different shell companies. It says this corruption is merely an extension of what Hillary Clinton began with the Uranium One scandal, where the mining and energy complex is consolidating power monopolistically. It says, in fact, we see an extension of these globalist type plans for American resources, plain as day in Hunter's data. I don't really have an opinion on the originating laptop dropped off for repair, but I suspect that the leak was inevitable because Hunter Biden's accounts were already compromised by the run-of-the-mill internet investigators. The floodgate was already opened, but where I sat, I was concerned the laptop repair story was exceedingly convenient, but whatever. It seemed convenient because they held onto it till when they needed it, and then it got shut down, just like this story did by Google, of course, because that's just what they do. Now, let's see. This goes on to say that this was approximately, this is in early October of 2020, the first drip occurred publicly. I was sent a mega link that is now expired that contains some of the laptop materials. This was approximately the first sample I received. The first damning thing was evidence of a wire transfer from Chinese intelligent asset to Hudson West III LLC. The rest was a bit random, and it shows that wire transfer. And actually gives the links to all of it. Interesting. And even more of what's going on here, including what appears to be a pregnancy test. I think this is all of Hunter Biden's conversations. Yeah, interesting. Wow, there's some really, let's see if this is even his stuff here with Daria. Wow. Now there's some even more interesting text messages that talks about his niece, right? And even like, talking about how he met up with her in that Trader Joe's bathroom. I'm pretty sure it was Trader Joe's or something like that. But it says, we already know that the emails and banking records are real per the Freedom of Information Act request. The number of emails can also be verified with DKIM authentication and also being available to see both sides of the conversation, like the Devin Archer's email from his own account to and from Hunter Biden. It says the second larger set of files included a mass amount of salacious content. The people surrounding this controversy love to focus on Hunter Biden's genitals in order to distract from the corruption. Indeed, a file named screenshot blank 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 shows Hunter Biden's and his wiener on a piece of pizza? What? Many escorts are featured in this data dump. Unlike what was minimally reported on, their faces were visible and uncensored. I ran them all through facial recognition right away with mixed results. Indeed, they are mostly escorts, but Haley Biden and other friends like Ash Akai Grant are also featured with Hunter Biden naked. In one of the pictures, Hunter is with his computer where he is logged into a porn account, where he is uploading videos of him and Haley and others engaged in sexual behavior. Beau Biden, by the way, seemed to be fully aware of the relationship between Hunter and Haley. Haley being his brother's wife, who ended up his brother ended up dying, and he ended up being in a relationship with his brother's wife, his dead brother's wife. So if that tells you anything about his character. It says seemed to be fully aware of this relationship between Hunter and Haley, where Hunter sent him pictures of acts together. This is why many believe Natalie and or Hunter may be Hunter Biden's biological children. So he's doing that to his own daughter. It says at this stage in 2020, the Q movement all but shut down. They had seemed to be waiting for something like this for years. They finally had it all, and the entire Q astroturfing movement completely shut down, and they deleted itself from the internet. This was very suspicious. The conservative news outlets refused to cover what was in the first set of leaks, which was only a portion of the hard drive. It says Zero Hedge, Gateway Pundit, Big League Politics, all these outlets I would have expected to jump all over this content did absolutely nothing. In fact, they even participated in some light disinformation in some cases. It says, I posit, don't know what that means, that the Q movement was a Carlyle Group psyop, aided by numerous astroturfing firms like upvotes.club, but was also by government contractors like CACI and QINETIQ. It says one concerning aspect of Hunter Biden's data that was available in 2020 was that the heavily featured Natalie Biden. Hunter Biden was in possession of hundreds of her personal pictures. It appeared to be obsessive. Beyond the pictures, it became clear that many people were concerned about Hunter Biden's sexually inappropriate interactions where he is naked and smoking crack in front of Natalie Biden. It says, what is also concerning, and it goes on to show some of the conversations here. And this is where it gets interesting, okay? So finally found this portion of it. Okay, so here's the conversation where he is talking about, talking to Natalie. And this is what the conversation says. It says, I'm sorry, Natalie, but she won't even take my call. She's made her decision clearly. She's chosen to do what Haley wants her. And she says, like Daria teaches, the rest should just worry about themselves. That includes me and I guess you and Hunter and your aunt, and I love you, but your mom just decided that she is willing to risk having you taken from her rather than spend a month with family in Malibu. She told Pop that she would call the police if I tried to see you and Hunter. So it's basically just outlining, exactly these like weird, obsessive, inappropriate conversations with a minor that is within his family. Including I want to fold clothes for you is what he sent her, which is, I think, is a reference to a J. Cole song. I don't know, any other reference to that other than this J. Cole song that I know, which is, go look it up. But it says in bathroom at Whole Foods. So not Trader Joe's, but Whole Foods. And this was 5/29/18 at 1:51 p.m. Why would you text somebody that you're in the bathroom at Whole Foods? Now the conversation continues, and it says, yes, it seems like an endless test of my sanity to hate as much as I do right now. Haley won't let me see Natalie without my father present. It says, can you imagine that? That is messed up. So it says that is, effed up, that I've effing shielded for 2 years and taken all the heat is keeping me from talking to or being around her. It says, Hunter, it is imperative you call me or your father. Now, I believe this is his mother. This is from, this says Jim Biden. Hunter, it is imperative that you call me or your father. Your father is getting, as I am, barraged by Haley. He has not responded and I have not responded. We both agree with you and trust you. She is spreading what you told me and I believe you, which is the fact that he was in a sexually inappropriate relationship with his niece. And he says that they're lies. Once again, we both need you to your side of the story so we can both shove it down her effing throat. I implore you to call. Please, we are on your side. I believe you. This is nothing short of character assassination. Love you, Jim. Sounds like Jim is his uncle. And it goes on to say that, let's read through more of this conversation. It says, or my mom tells him things like I'm sexually inappropriate with the children. This is Hunter Biden's words. 2, in this case, it just gives you the phone number. Now, continuing this conversation about how he is sexually inappropriate with his own cousin and all of the receipts and text messages showing this, it says, call your mother. Now, this is I can't read it through it, but it says, call your mother. It seems every time we talk, she's telling people I'm inappropriate with you. So this is to Natalie. And the only reason it's blurred out, which I can't see it, is because she's underage. And you can tell by the way that she talks. She says, call your mother. It seems every time we talk, she tells people I'm inappropriate with you. I don't want to make matters worse for you or for myself. This child said, bruh, and then a bunch of words. Hate life, man. I'm on the airplane, AIRPLAIN, with no headphones. And then he says back to that, she said that when Aunt Blank told the girls they shouldn't be with me alone, that it proved she was just plain evil and mean and that she was hurting the girls more than she was hurting me. It says, lastly, that he is inappropriate with Natalie. He FTs everyone naked. Wow, what an embarrassment he is. He clearly can't be around my children. There's the phone number directly on this, 302-530-06. Not going to give you the rest of it. And it goes on to say that he says, again, telling people I'm inappropriate with her daughter. So we get the point. He was absolutely, and his entire family believes that he was sexually inappropriate with Natalie, who is his niece, who was underage at the time of all of these conversations. I don't know how old she is now. And then goes on to say in the last one that you would have to, when she says, can I come up there? Please, uncle, I'm dying inside. So depressed. Can't handle life. He said, you would have to come with adult because you can't stay with me. Because everybody thinks that Hunter Biden is a pedophile. Interesting. So it shows literally all the text messages, which you got directly from this iCloud dump. All right. Now, that's probably should be brought up legally anyways. But it goes on to say, it says, what is also concerning that despite being banned from seeing her alone, Hunter Biden is still meeting in secret with Natalie in places like a Whole Foods bathroom. Natalie is on a family outing, then sneaks to the bathroom to meet Hunter Biden to fold clothes. By mid-2021, it is clear many people had Hunter's data, and the hard drive was repackaged in a variety of ways. With each repacking, data was taken and inserted. I gave up relying on these anonymous dumps and focused on how to verify what was important and with the usual OSINT techniques. They always cry about source, verification, and context, so it is important to preemptively give it to them to take away their crybaby ammunition. Now that the issue has gained more steam, you can actually peruse a lot of these emails yourself. And the website, now this is important, the website that you can actually go to search every single one of Hunter Biden's emails is hunterlaptopemails.com. Now, when you go to this website, I went to it, and there's some really interesting things that you can search. The few ones that you can search is The Big Guy. A second one that you can search is Comet Pizza, and you'll see some emails from that. You can see emails about, another little key search term I used was illegal, and you can start to see some of the shady business dealings that he had there. But I recall one where the Schwerick or whatever that guy's name was that was a part of Rosemont Seneca actually discussed him going to a Hillary Clinton party at Comet Ping Pong in Washington, D.C. And if you don't know about Comet Ping Pong, if you've ever heard of the term Pizzagate was allegedly a conspiracy where all of these celebrities and Hollywood elites were getting together at Comet Pizza and doing all sorts of satanic pedophilia, ritualistic BS. And you can see it directly in there that he was invited to these parties, which allegedly never happened, and were all, them just a bunch of politicians playing ping pong together at a pizza place. Now it goes on to say that in most of the reliable ways to see the new leak is just by downloading the torrent yourself and opening an iPhone backup extractor. It gives the magnet link and it says, so now here we go again. When every conservative news outlet should be screaming this stuff from the rooftops, it seems that nearly all Hunter Biden's posts are getting deleted on all sites, even 4chan, especially Reddit, Twitter, and Twitter is banning people consistently over it. It says, in short, there is 100% proof of criminality of a variety of types, showing that the Bidens are above the law and will destroy your country for pennies on the dollar. It says that Hunter Biden will sell out billions of American resources for crack and hookers. He must be stopped, and this behavior is ongoing. And it continues to give screenshot after screenshot after screenshot after screenshot of these transfers from these companies in the millions of dollars for these shady business deals. Okay. We'll see if I can go through any of these here. It just seems to be receipt after receipt after receipt of him receiving just hundreds of thousands of dollars from all of these Chinese corporations, all these conversations that are through about his payments from these companies, so on and so forth. Now let's go see if we can actually jump over to that website with all of the emails here, because I think that was a little interesting to me, and it's where you can actually get put on your tinfoil hat and get pretty pretty wild going to this website here. So let's go there and see if we can search some of these emails. Now, before I do that, again, the next thing I need you to do, head over to redpillrevolution.co. This is literally the only way that I have any monetization, guys. I don't have any paid advertisers. There's no third-party ads here, nothing at all. The only thing that I do ask of you is if you are married, if you have children, or if you are in a situation where you need life insurance, or if you have life insurance, screw your agent. Screw that guy. He has nothing to do with you. You don't listen to him talk about Hunter Biden's emails for an hour and a half. So head over to redpillrevolution.co. Life insurance is seriously important, guys. I know the first thing that happened to me when I had children was I realized my mortality. I realized that, when I die, life goes on, right? Whatever debts you have, whatever mortgages you have, whatever bills you have on a consistent basis, the person that you love is counting on you to take care of them. And you can do that right now by going to redpillrevolution.co and clicking on the button that says get a quote. Takes 2 minutes to get a free quote. I had a $2 million policy offered to me. I think it was like $50 a month. It was crazy. It's awesome. There's no, it's like 95% approval rating. You don't have to talk to anybody on the phone. If you do have questions or you're in a state that's not offered, there's 8 different states that you'll see on there. If you're in a state that's not offered, send me an email, austin@redpillrevolution.co. And I will buy the state just for you. And I'd love to help you get some life insurance. If you don't know what to get, I recommend getting a 15-year term policy at 15 times the amount of your income. That should allow your spouse to basically have enough time to get on their feet, enough time to pay your bills, to maybe purchase your home outright so they don't have that ongoing bill, and do what's right for them, do what's right for your children. Again, head over to redpillrevolution.co. Get yourself some life insurance today. Again, it's the only way you can support this podcast besides going directly to the website and donating. All right, cool. So let's go back to the Biden laptop emails from a conversation about doing what's right for your family. Now, the website for this, again, is bidenlaptopemails.com. Doesn't get any more straightforward than that. All right, so it says, here are 128,000 emails from the Biden laptop, which is the modern Rosetta Stone of white and blue collar crime under the patina of the Delaware way. Don't know what the hell that means. It says, prior to the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, a number of ancient languages were mere gibberish and hash marks. Similarly, the emails in Hunter Biden's laptop illuminated previously convoluted webs of the people you are seeing the charge for global governance. Truly, the emails can be considered a translation tool for open source intelligence gathering. And this actually references back to what that individual was talking about on Reddit, which is the OSINT, which is what they referenced for how to properly translate these emails. Okay. Now, what you can do on this website is you can search different individual terms. A few of that they recommend is, the big guy. Now, some of the fun ones that I've done has been, we'll just start off here and look at that Comet pizza emails, because I'm pretty sure, that's an interesting topic when people want to talk about Pizzagate and Hillary Clinton and all of the shady, weird stuff that was going on there. Seems to get a little bizarre. All right, so here we go. This email is, again, from that shady figure, Eric Schwerin. Eric Schwerin sent him an email, and this was on March 30th of 2016 at approximately 2:16 o'clock. 2:16 o'clock. 2 in the afternoon. And it says, presidential pizza. Maddie Beckwith, Ezekiel Emanuel, Tony Podesta, and Chris Petula are hosting a pizza party for Hillary Clinton next month, featuring campaign chair John Podesta, senior policy advisor Maya Harris, and pizza chef James Alefantis of Comet Ping Pong. A maximum $27,000 contribution includes a special reception with John Podesta, and all Clinton logo haters need to check out this version, which has pepperoni pizza slices for the arrow. Now let's see if that works. Because it would be no surprise to me that Hillary Clinton has a pizza in her logo. Now, by clicking this link, I'm probably immediately sending 5 FBI agents to listen to this live stream on Reddit. Or on TikTok, sorry. Oh, yeah, look at that. Link expired. Well, that's probably good for my behalf. It goes on to say nothing, because that's the last of that email. But there's several other references to Comet Ping Pong. But I find that one to be the most interesting as far as the Comet Ping Pong situation goes. I don't know. I just found that to be an interesting one to look up. Now, when we go look up illegal, you can start to see some of the shadier business deals of them talking about how not to do things illegally. Some of the interesting conversations that they have between these shell companies of Rosemont Seneca, of Vide. VIDE was one that I recall. That was a Chinese technology firm which had no technology. Just a shell company. But if you search the term illegal, it comes up with, let's see how many pages, 23 pages of emails. Now, it is interesting to note, well, it's not really that interesting, but it's probably pertinent to note that some of these emails are just newsletters, but some of them are not, like the Morning Score from Politico. Other ones like this, a cheerful Biden family gamely fills in for his boss. And that's again from Eric Schwerin. Let's look up who this Eric guy is because he's a shady character. So Eric Schwerin, besides having a stupid name, let's see if we can find out who this guy actually is. So the New York Post has an article that says, "Who is Eric Schwerin? What to know about Hunter Biden's business partner." All right, now this goes on to say that Eric Schwerin became one of Hunter Biden's closest friends, business associates, and an emotional pillar to the Biden's troubled second son over the 20-year relationship that transformed the enigmatic money man into a D.C. power player. The 52-year-old fixer, who made at least 27 visits to the White House and other official venues during the Obama and Biden presidency, is likely to be the focus of the looming Republican House probe into Hunter Biden's overseas business dealings. While Schwerin has not personally been accused of any wrongdoing, his deep personal and financial ties both to Joe and Hunter Biden continue to cast doubt on past claims about President Joe Biden that he has no involvement in his son's business dealings. Hunter Biden and Schwerin likely first met when they worked in President Bill Clinton's Commerce Department. Schwerin arrived at the agency in 1994 with a sterling resume, having earned a bachelor's from the University of Pennsylvania and a master's from the Elliott School of International Affairs at George Washington University. Before graduating, he spent a year in Czechoslovakia as an English teacher. He rose through the ranks quickly, becoming an international trade specialist in 1997 before claiming the title of senior policy advisor to the Secretary of International Trade in 1999. And here's a lame picture of Hunter Biden in a leather jumpsuit, taking a picture of himself with what seems to be a gin and tonic in an elevator mirror. All right. Cool, buddy. I worked with him in the Department of Commerce, and I always found him to be a good and decent guy, a nice, pleasant guy, said former colleague, which they told the Post. Hunter Biden was the same age as Schwerin and fresh out of Yale Law School, where he had won admission after President Clinton personally lobbied Dean Guido Calabresi to admit him. After bouncing around some cushy banking gigs in Delaware, he landed at Commerce as a policy director specializing in the burgeoning internet company. According to The New Yorker, the pair hit it off. When George W. Bush became president, Hunter Biden left government and started a lobbying shop with William Oldeker, a D.C. lawyer who worked on his father's aborted 1988 presidential campaign. In 2002, Schwerin joined him and became a partner in the company lobbying disclosure forms shown here. In 2008, Senator Barack Obama sought more than $3.4 million in congressional earmarks for Hunter's clients, the Washington Post reported at the time. He stayed with the lobbying firm until 2008. Shady business character. Here's another picture of Joe Biden or Hunter Biden in an all-white outfit. A yellowish sweat-stained shirt with some white pants with his face like this and his legs crossed like he's a GQ model. I don't know. So this guy seems to be a shady character who's all over these emails, all over the shady business dealings with Rosemont Seneca, all over all of it. All right. So I don't know. It seems a lot like you could really dive deep and find the correlations. You know, I guess where you should start is looking at Rosemont Seneca, looking at the Burisma deals that happened, looking at the China deals that happened, where he was peddling his father's influence. And you can go back. Let's go back to that email list and see if we can find some the big guy emails. You know, if you've heard that before, you'll know what I'm talking about. But in these emails, Hunter Biden refers to the big guy, right? And he refers to the big guy in these business dealings where he's basically peddling somebody's influence to basically exchange conversations with his father, Joe Biden, with world leaders for profit and economic leaders and CEOs of companies for influence in exchange for hundreds of thousands of dollars per month in retainer fees. Okay. And we can look into these here. Now, there is 19 pages with the term the big guy in it, right? And there's approximately, 25, 30, 40, maybe 50 emails per page. And a ton of these have Eric Sherwin within them. Okay. Now, if we go, this starts all the way back from 2010. February 12th of 2010, he started peddling his dad's influence. Interesting. His first email with Eric Sherwin was in 2010 about the big guy. Let's see if we can find where this actually happened. But basically what he ended up doing was giving a percentage of his companies, giving a percentage of these profitabilities through these corporations to the big guy allegedly being Joe Biden, as he was exchanging his influence for these conversations. Now, when I went into these emails, I went like line by line by line by line to see these actual shady business dealings. Now, if I recall correctly, one of them was with Rosemont Seneca. And we'll see if I can actually find the email where they had this laid out, because they actually had it in a literal business dealing outline, like who is getting what percentage from where and for what, right? And there's actual pictures that you can use to corroborate these emails, where you can look at the pictures, you can look at the emails and see the dates line up with pictures of Joe Biden having golf outings with these CEOs of these companies, in exchange for putting his son on retainer, right? And this is where all the weirdness gets into play, because Hunter Biden was peddling his father's influence in Ukraine, right? And all of these Ukrainian companies, and a lot of them had to do with energy companies, right? And so now when we're seeing Joe Biden give hundreds of, like almost $100 billion now to Ukraine, it's like 70 billion at this point. It all starts to make sense to me. I mean, obviously, I haven't taken a piece of yarn and like connected every single dots, but it just seems super shady. Again, this is a podcast called Red Pill Revolution, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think it's important to take a look at who he's talking to here, right? I don't have time to go through all 100 and however many thousand of these emails. But it seems to me that they will eventually have people going through each one of them, and we will get that yarn string from company to company to individual, from Joe Biden to Burisma, from Burisma to China, from China to Zelensky, and from Zelensky to, so you get all of these hundreds of billions of dollars that are going to be peddled to these companies over time. And eventually it all leads back to Joe Biden. Now, again, that's all a conspiracy. I don't know if what I'm saying is correct. You can look at these emails for yourself, double check and see. But to me, it seems pretty shady that now we're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine after his son did billions of dollars of influence peddling to them over, what appears to be 10 to 12 years through Rosemont Seneca and his other shell companies. And I don't know, pretty wild. But the other side of it, there's like 3 categories of this when it comes to these text messages and it comes to the iCloud emails or the iCloud leak. The first one is pedophilia, right? Let's just highlight each one of these categories for you. The first side of it is him being super creepy and sexually inappropriate, according to all of his family, with Natalie Biden, who's his niece, and potentially his daughter, according to that. I don't know. The other side of it is super shady business dealings that were happening with Ukrainian energy companies and China. The other side of it is peddling his father's influence for profit through those companies. The next part of it was his unbelievable amount of drug usage. And then the last part of it was allegedly sex trafficking that he's now being indicted for federally. Okay. So again, you can check out the Reddit article directly for yourself by going and searching the topic title. So just search Reddit, the Hunter Biden saga continues. It's under the subreddit conspiracy, of course. You can find the emails for that at bidenlaptopemails.com. You can actually use every search term you could ever want in there to see. Use names, emails, individuals. Illegal might be a good one to look at. Pretty wild. But I guess we all know nothing's going to happen about this. That's the most frustrating part, is if I did this or you did this or your friend did this or anybody that we know, every single one of us would be literally in jail right now. No questions asked. Now, obviously, he's the son of the president of the United States, But that might change if Hunter Biden is correct and he has cancer, if he's correct about his own medical status, which apparently the White House seems to believe that he's not. But anyways, I did want to just touch on each one of those categories for you guys. You got to jump into this and dive in deeper if you'd like to, but I gave you the resources to do it. All right. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it so much. And welcome to the revolution. Have a great day.